since I've been on this planet, the main line to London has always run through Poole, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Southampton. I have a wonderful memory of my grandparents taking me to London and arriving at Waterloo on a steam train. I must have been about 5 at the time. There is an old derelict line that runs through the New Forest that I assumed was a branch line. That's the line we're following today. In 1840, the London and South Western line from London to Southampton opened, and Great Western were planning to build a line to connect Salisbury and Weymouth to their network. In 1844, Charles Castleman, a Wimborne-based solicitor, proposed joining Dorchester and Southampton. Several schemes had already been binned because of practicality and cost. The most direct route was from Brockenhurst to Christchurch, through Poole and west to Dorchester. Back when the line was being planned, Bournemouth was an insignificant hamlet with a population of 1,600 people surrounded by barren and hilly heathland. Not the buzzing town it now is. Apart from Christchurch, there were no settlements of note on the route, so they carefully chose a line that took in existing settlements, avoiding the more costly construction route through barren hilly wastelands. Christchurch could be accessed by stagecoach from nearby Holmesley Station, and Poole would be connected to the main line by a small branch line. Our journey starts at Brockenhurst, as that's where the lines diverged, but it's worth going back up the line one stop to Beaulieu. Many know Beaulieu as the home of the National Motor Museum, but it was originally an abbey built for Cistercian monks. All went well until Henry VIII had a disagreement with the Pope and decided Catholicism wasn't for him, or anyone else either. As part of the dissolution of the monasteries, Beaulieu Abbey was surrendered to the Crown in 1538 for £326. Henry immediately sold the estate to one of his chums for 4 times what he paid for it. The estate's remained in the same family ever since, and apparently it's also home to many ghosts. Right, thank you very much. Ooh, bleh. Didn't see that coming. I had a short train ride between Poole and Brockenhurst. There I got out and had to cycle a little bit on the street just to get to the start of the trail. Then we had the usual 25 minutes trying to get the technology to work, and we're now on the way. It's a glorious day. Hopefully we should see some good sights. The trail starts here, just outside Brockenhurst. Originally, there were several competing ideas for joining London to the southwest. One of the reasons a coastal route was preferred was that some felt it would be an advantage in moving defensive troops if France invaded. Plus ça change. Whether it was a genuine fear or vested interest playing on the fear, I don't know, but maybe they could have used the same excuse to stop Beeching from shutting our lines. The route through the New Forest had to be approved by the Commissioners for the Royal Woods and Forests. The original plan was for the line to run from Southampton through Lyndhurst to Ringwood. This was rejected, and after much haggling, Brunel was brought in to propose a compromise. Got to say I'm impressed with the timescale. 3 years from first proposal at a public meeting to opening to paying punters is impressive. That included parliamentary approval and haggling about the route. The line was nicknamed Castleman's Corkscrew very early on because of the winding route it took. What's going on here then? The New Forest is called that because around 1079 William the Conqueror created a royal hunting forest by merging some 36 parishes and many farmsteads into a single area and calling it New. 1,000 years later we still call it the New Forest. Here's a sight worth seeing. New Forest ponies in their natural habitat. They clearly don't want to maintain the old bridges. They're all shut off by the looks of it. That's fine. We can cycle. Means more pushing than I was intending, but hey ho, it's a beautiful day. Oh, railway bridge, I like these. I'll look up where that is later and put a caption just on the bottom of the screen. There's lots of horse shit around here. Although it's been dry and hot the last day or so, still a fair amount of water down here. Another bridge for us. Some sort of campsite. People in tents and RVs. Lovely day for camping, that's for sure. 2 days ago we were flying back from Northern Ireland. The actual plane this time went down to Southampton and across the New Forest. I was on the left hand side of the plane looking out, doing my best to follow this old railway line. It looks like a diversion. Let's go this way. The reason for that little diversion is because this road follows a path of the railway line. Guess it makes sense. So the track bed's just beneath us. Whoa, I hate cattle grids. Well, there's always one, isn't there? So that's the road between Lyndhurst and Christchurch. This is Holmesley Station, now a tea room. A stagecoach ran from here to Christchurch. Holmesley Station is at the crossroads of the Castleman Trail and the A35. That looks very station platformy to me. Let's crack on. Morning.
Nope, I do not get jogging. This is the second lot of horses I've seen today. They're hiding under there. Very sensible, mate. So that's where it used to go by the looks of it, and we've got to go this way. And this is where the railway line stops for a minute. We've got to take a short trip up to Crow Hill on the roads, then back down to join it later. So the reason we couldn't do some of that is because of these bridges have been knocked out. So we've somehow got to get up past that. I get the feeling that was the wrong road we've come down. Rightio. Oh, this is pleasant. So after our little diversion via the roads and some off-piste riding, back on the trail, and we're coming into Ringwood soon. That one's a road bridge. Chav.
Nothing's left of Ringwood Station. It's been buried under the industrial estate to my left for many years.
Wow. Nearly missed it. This is where we're meant to be.
From Ringwood Station going west, there were two parallel lines over this bridge. The right one going to Wimborne and the left one was a new branch line to Christchurch. Ringwood to Christchurch was built on the cheap, had sharp bends and odd gradients, so trains had to go slow. It had one public station at Herne, which is now the Avon Causeway pub. Been there more than once. From Bickerley Road, the trail goes over the Stour floodplain and under the A31.
There's always some cock up. Today, I just forgot the water. He's got other ideas. No. Cheers. Okay, so we're coming up to the station, which is Ashley Heath, and I can stop and get some water. Back on track. This is Ashley Heath station. Now the claim they got here is that the station platform's longer than the high street. I did the research, and welcome to Ashley Heath, Britain's shortest high street, or 39 metres of it. This section goes between Ashley Heath and West Moors. Okay, come on in. Okay, we're coming into West Moors now. Brambles.
Why towns exist intrigues me. West Moors exists because of the railway. It was simply a junction on the Castleman corkscrew where a line branches off to Salisbury. The station opened in 1867, and as this map of the time shows, it was just a station and a couple of isolated houses. The station closed to passengers in 1964, thank you Dr. Beeching, but stayed open until 1974 to serve the Royal Army Ordnance Corps fuel depot nearby.
And that there looks to be our path. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Oh, that's a nice bridge. Well, bloody hell. And we're back on the track.
Today's trail is signposted on a more northerly route, but we are sticking to the route of the line.
So this is defo the route of the railway. And that, I think, is a point we joined last time, yeah. That's the way they're routing you on the trailway, but we're not going that way. This is the Ferndown bypass. We'll try and get across this lot somehow. It's going to be a laugh. Bugger it, I'm going. What are the chances of getting squished here? And the reason for not going on the trail is because the railway line skirted just to the right of where the Ferndown Industrial Estate is now. And we're going to go and try and pick our way through it.
And the first stop on our whistle-stop tour of Ferndown Industrial Estate is Nimrod Way.
I'm hoping not to have to go too far on this. You can actually see the path of the railway line to my right. This is the closest we can get to it, but there's no way you can walk or cycle that. However, just up here, I think there's a path. I'm hoping we can get on that. That's a path, but just the sort of one that your intrepid biking hero goes on.
The path takes us from Nimrod Way, behind the industrial units, to Uddens Drive.
That's as far as we can go for the second. If when we got to the police station we'd have followed the signs, this is where we'd have ended up. It's actually a much nicer route to go that way, but we're just trying to pick off the railway line as much as we can. We are back on the old railway line again. I love these. Oh no, we can go around the side.
And this short section takes us from Uddens Drive to Cantford Bottom.
So much nicer than the path we just come up. That's heading towards Cantford Bottom roundabout. You can see the path of the railway there, and there is that lovely weirdo roundabout. Let's go for it.
The problem with Wimborne is that much of the line has been built on, and we need to get from Camford Bottom to the Willett Arms, about 3 miles. Option 1 is over fields and via Camford School. Not great until you get to the school. Option 2 is via Wimborne itself, but right now that's hell. The so-called improvements have made things worse, and house builders have blocked the public path over the bypass to the school. But today we are going to follow the route of the railway line as closely as possible.
Of all the road junctions, this is the most insane ever. But if you're taking your kids to learn to drive, it's a good one. I think that's pretty much the route of the railway. It came right through there, about 100 metres away from Camford Bottom roundabout. Let's go further on and pick it up a bit more.
After the appalling Camford Bottom mess of a junction, we are heading towards Hayes Lane.
This is Hayes Lane. There's a little bump in the road there, and that's the line of the old track.
From Hayes Lane, we head towards the By the Way field and Lee Common to North Lee Lane.
This is where the map gets a bit confused. I think the path of the railway line was through the trees to the right. This is pretty much as near as we can get to it. This is North Lee Lane. Over there, that's the old track towards Wimborne.
Then from North Lee Lane towards the main road and through a couple of side roads towards where the station was.
So we're approaching the site of Wimborne Market now, but in the past it was Wimborne Station. So the car boot sale's in full swing. My wife might be here actually. She said she was coming. I haven't seen the car in the car park. So this is the site of the old station.
Wimborne Station was opened in 1847. The station closed to passengers in 1964 and to freight between Poole and Wimborne in 1977 when the line was closed and lifted. After Wimborne Station, the line heads towards the river.
So the embankment on the right takes us to where the bridge of the river was. So this is the point where the railway crossed the river. Different use today.
Then we pick it up the other side of the river and head towards Broadstone.
That's where the river is, and this is the railway line. This is only a very short section of the old track, and it comes to an abrupt halt at this bridge. However, a good place to stop because there's a story to tell.
So in 1844, our friend Castleman of Wimborne proposed the line, and the Southampton and Dorchester Railway Company was formed to build it. One of the landowners affected by the route of the line was William Ponsonby of Camford Manor, a local politician and first Baron de Morley. He was often described as being thick and tactless, but that didn't stop him getting elected to being Southampton and Dorchester's chairman. The Act of Parliament provided for a level crossing at the Wimborne entrance to his estate. However, that didn't suit his lordship, so he persuaded his fellow board members to build him a bridge for the railway over the road, as it would be more convenient for him. The station was to be north of the River Stour, actually in the town of Wimborne. His nibs managed to persuade the board to move the station to the other side of the river, right by his estate's entrance, in exchange for not building him a bridge. Oddly enough, the locals kicked off, so London and South Western Railway, who were backing the project, waded in and dictated that the station would be built exactly where planned, and none of this bridge nonsense. You're getting a cheaper level crossing. In 1846, Ponsonby sells the estate to John Guest, who owned the world's biggest ironworks in Merthyr Tydfil. Oddly enough, Guest managed to get himself on the board of the Southampton and Dorchester Railway. He wasn't keen on the level crossing either, but not crazy enough to try the move the station trick. After lots of toing and froing, it was agreed to build the bridge and a private siding in exchange for Guest buying the gatekeeper's lodge that the railway company were building, and no further delay. It's likely the bridge was a simple timber bridge, like the rest on the line. However, in 1853-1854, the family upgraded the bridge to this rather lovely one to provide a carriage drive and grand entrance to the estate. Designed by Charles Barry, Houses of Parliament, it's now a Grade 2 listed building. The last train crossed it in 1977.
So the line used to cross over Oakley Lane, and where we can pick the trail up now is from the Willett Arms car park. Oh, I fancy a pint. This is a section of the track which goes between Wimborne and Broadstone. And this bridge carries the Wimborne to Poole traffic. It's dark. A mile and a half to Broadstone. Well, that's seen better days. That's Broadstone Golf Course. And this is the point we meet with the old Somerset and Dorset, which we've done that one in a previous video. Coming into Broadstone Station. Oh, nasty purple. Normally my favourite colour, but that's gross. So at this point I normally hive off down Roman Road, which is just coming up on the left, and then into Upton House. However, that's not the route the railway track took. I think now the official Castleman Trailway goes down to Upton House, but this is the actual line of the track. Never quite sure what that is. Well, the railway line would be going over here, but that's obviously dual carriageway, so we're going to have to take a bit of a detour. So this is Upton. Having managed to get across the dual carriageway, fought my way through a bit of off-piste Upton, we're now back on the trail. Not much longer to go, I don't think.
The last section runs pretty much parallel to Blandford Road and over the disused bridge into Hamworthy Station. Before we finish, it's worth taking a look at how we got from Castleman's Corkscrew to the present day. As Bournemouth grew, the rail network evolved. Christchurch was opened in 1862 and was the railhead for Bournemouth, which at the time had a population of less than 2,000 and 4 goats. The line reached Bournemouth East in 1870 and 4 years later Broadstone to Bournemouth West opened. Later on the last bit was joined. In 1888 the Brockenhurst to Christchurch line opened, followed by the Holes Bay curve 5 years later. Trains from Southampton westward had a faster route and no longer had to go into Broadstone and reverse out. And then dear old Dr Beeching comes along and shuts most of it in the 1960s. So the current main line takes the route of the originally proposed route. It just took 120 years to get there.
And the last part of the journey we have to do on foot. This is the embankment that takes us into Hamworthy Station. This is the back of the factory units in Hamworthy. This is why you wouldn't bring a bike down here. Yeah, try navigating this with a bike. Oops, you bashed me brains out there. So that's the back of Lidl. So this is the bridge over the road at Hamworthy. I don't think you can really get any further than this. Well, that's curious. Are they concrete sleepers? And there we go, that one's the British Rail main line between Dorchester and Poole, Bournemouth, Southampton, London. That's where I managed to bring the bike to the other day. This is the true end of the Castleman Trailway, Hamworthy Junction. The official end nowadays is Upton Country Park, so we're going to head there.